As you might know, good morning. I'm so excited to be here, but you might notice we're packing up today because this is our last day here. We are moving into our new space, And so we will be leaving this space, and we're going to save some money towards our remodel, and by going online for a while until probably the 23rd of July. So that will be, we hope, our soft opening in our new space. So the 23rd, I think we have some extraordinary celebration plans. Yes. We are going to really be celebrating again, soft opening we're calling it, because the grand opening will be when our sanctuary is ready. So we're going to do it in stages. So when you come for our soft opening, we want you to be in your imagination, imagining walls with sheetrock or paint and so on. But we are so blessed. So let's just for a minute, not a minute, just a moment, give thanks for this space and for these kind people that have allowed us to be here and grow. We've grown. So I just want to acknowledge that. Let me introduce myself before I keep going, because I'm just I have so much to say. I am Reverend Sharon Dunn, the senior minister here at the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living. And I want to also wish everyone a happy Father's Day, because we've all had a father. And especially to those who are fathers, and those of us who have fathered in a way in our life. So I wanted to acknowledge that it's Father's Day, and I really want to acknowledge our One Love band. I'm excited that we are going to be moving in, having our baby grand piano back, not having to set up every Sunday, come walking in and having music and more music, meditation before service, all kinds of good things are going to be happening. So I'm excited. So one other acknowledgement, our production team manager and our board president and Cookie are on a cruise. Yay! So we're going to say hi. Bon voyage. Let's bon voyage. 1, 2, 3.
Bon voyage.
Great. And I do also want to thank you in advance if you're a part of helping us pack up. We did quite a bit already. We're going to finish after service, and then we're going to load the stuff in my truck, if you'd be so kind as to take a box out with you. So all that, let's just bring on a practitioner of truth, a beautiful practitioner of truth. Yesterday, Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living represented in our global community by paneling new practitioners, and Reverend Patricia and Margie Lugfeld and I were the panel from the hood in Sacramento. And we paneled 3 new practitioners. They did pass their panels, and many more passed their panels in Napa. So that was and so I got to be with Margie yesterday, and I got to see her hold these beautiful beings as they go through their threshold, which is what we've all done who are practitioners, and we as ministers are always practitioners first. So it's our pure joy to have Margie come in and pray us in.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And welcome to Sacramento CSL. And it's our last day. We bless this place, like Reverend Sharon said, and we're so excited. So let's go within. I invite you to go into that sacred, most sacred high place that's safe. And I know, and you know, that there's only one power. And that power is what? It's divine presence that circulates around us, through us, above us, below us. It's with us 24/7. And as I know and I trust this beautiful one presence of God, I know that each one of us is one and the same, all good, all knowing, all kind, with harmony and balance and love. And I bless the service today. Bless this building that releases us as we release it in love. And I bless the service. I know we're going to hear a great message, music, and everything that goes with that. And so together in gratitude, we say,
and so it is.
Thank you. And now for our readings. Dr. Ernest Holmes, The Science of Mind. Anyone wishing to develop a pleasant personality must first become pleasant. And think comforting thoughts. Thank you, Dr. Holmes. And then promise yourself to think well of yourself and proclaim this fact to the world, not in loud words, but in great deeds. Kristen D. Larson, The Optimist Creed. Loneliness is an indicator that you need yourself desperately. Ruby Caro, Honey. Thank you. Okay, here I Wasn't Ready by our One Love Band. We love you.
Thank you.
Thank
We love
you.
you too. And probably most of you here know what's been going on with us. We've been facing probably one of the hardest times in our 15 years together. And we wrote this song to say thank you to all of you because you've been such an amazing support and love for us.
Reverend Sharon texts me each week before chemo treatment, and it's been beyond helpful. It's been amazing. Ruth and Christy, their friendship and music and laughter has been such a source of joy. And all of you, Ann, Delane, Carol, Sufit, Corey, Stephanie, Linda, Reverend Patricia, Doug, Teddy, Margie, Connie, Larry, Jessa, and everyone has been so loving and supportive through this journey. And whoever would have thought or known when we came through those doors what a great fit and family you all would have become to us. So we wrote the song to capture some of our feelings and to say thank you to you.
Thank you.
Thankful for our heartbeat, so much you
us.
Oops, I get so lost in the music, I forget what I'm doing.
And you always make me cry.
That was so beautiful. Oh, let me turn me on now. Okay. Sometimes I fade into the music and then I just start walking. It's like, where am I going? Oh, that was so beautiful. So beautiful. You know, today's topic is pleasure. We just experienced it. You know, we're going to talk about pleasure today, but we're also going to talk about the kind of pleasure that is the deepest pleasure. And that's it. So I just want you to remember that when I get there. But that was exactly what I'm talking about today. Again, our theme for June is embracing self-care. And are you all working with that theme, self-care? So I want you to be thinking about one thing that you've done since we started this theme this month that is self-kindness. That is something unique to this month since we started talking about this theme of self-care. And our annual theme, as we know, is living out loud. And so, of course, self-care is part of living out loud because we move everything out of the way that isn't self-kindness to indulge in self-care, which doesn't mean you're indulgent. Okay? So the three things we're going to talk about today is pleasure and intimacy and realization. And the intimacy I'm talking about is into me see. You know, it's moving out of the way anything unlike self-kindness. So as far as pleasure goes, Ernest Holmes says, we should contact a larger field of faith. This is done by understanding that God is the giver and the sustainer of human life and expression. God is all there is, the substance and supply. We must learn to accept this. If it is God's pleasure to give us the kingdom, then it should be our privilege to accept this gift. So the pleasure I'm talking about is, yes, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. And of course, you might wonder, how does pleasure have anything to do with the science of mind? I'm going to tell you. Now, I love this. Pleasure is the emotional core of our sense of aliveness. Pleasure is the emotional core of our sense of aliveness. Did you not feel so alive when you were listening to that music? It's that sense of aliveness. Did I feel that when I was busy doing all of that back there, you know, putting tape on boxes and yes, because part of pleasure is service. So we're going to talk about different aspects of pleasure this morning. Pleasure is a pleasant emotion of contentment felt deep within because of an event that builds positive feelings. A wave of calmness washes over the body when it is felt, keeping the body and mind in a peaceful state. Now, when I'm rushing around doing all that, do I have that peace and calm? Not so much. But after I finished, did I? Yes. I looked back there and said, I contributed. You know, I did that. Because, you know, Ruth runs everything. And she's like, well, don't worry about it, you know, we'll pack up the center when I get back. I said, no, we can do this. We can do this, can't we?
Yes.
They can just go on a cruise and know their family is okay. Pleasure is imperative in every self-care process because it is the summarized feeling of self-care. We're talking, and I know what? I would love for you to be thinking about pleasure. What brings you pleasure? Because I don't know. And so keep those two ideas in mind. What am I doing this month for self-care or self-kindness? And what is my pleasure? What is my pleasure? Another thing Ernest Holmes says is, we are thinking of God as a universal and infinite being, as perfect law, the immutable law of cause and effect. And in doing this, Ernest Holmes says, discarding the ancient idea of a huge person in the nature of deity. In other words, we're making this big picture God, this big picture God. But this is a very personal God. This is my yummy. This is my Bubba. This is my Howie. This is my innards. This is my heart and my soul, my purpose, my why. And yes, I like to know that it's this big idea, this infinite mind. But Ernest Holmes says, in doing this with this big idea, we're discarding the ancient idea of a huge person in the nature of deity. We are undoubtedly losing something, losing a sense of personal contact with this invisible power. This is what we want to remember. We want to remember that this is Bubba we're talking about. And we are liable to think of God only as law or as infinite, the infinite it. Because we kind of use that term here. It, because we don't have gender, we don't say he and the Father, sometimes we'll say Mother, Father, God, but because we want to keep it neutral, we might sometimes not make it personal. What's your your Uchi Gucci name for God? What is your go-to? When it's 5 o'clock somewhere, it's cocktail time. Do you bring God? Do you take God everywhere you go and make room and make note? I mean, this is what Ernest Holmes is talking about. Now, an infinite it is a very adequate thing in certain respects, because we want to move out of the human limited idea and know that we have access to the infinite mind, right? But in other respects, it's inadequate, he says. We could not derive much comfort, pleasure, or joy from talking to the principle of chemical affinity. Yet we do derive a great benefit from learning that such a law exists, don't we? Neither can we hope to get much satisfaction from thinking of God only as the infinite it. Isn't that beautiful? So when we talk about pleasure, we are talking about evoking, stirring within us the deeper essence of pleasure, so that, as I always say, we can experience it. Because if we're not experiencing these principles, never mind. If we're just spouting them, never mind. So this is wonderful. So I do not believe that to experience total pleasure, there has to be a calmness and peace within your mind, or that calmness and peace cannot be attained in a mind filled with turbulence, anger, and irritation, or that these emotions must be kept in check for you to experience feeling of pleasure. We hold multiple truths simultaneously if we desire. In other words, when we're hit with whatever is happening, we can at the same time remember that close, intimate relationship with that which created you. The research I did on pleasure, of course, we always have to have that, right, is that there are 5 basic levels of pleasure. And, I'm not going to go into, some of the detail of pleasure, as you know, even though that could be a sermon. But we would sell tickets to that. And so the five levels. One is sensual pleasure. Our 5 senses. It's funny, they always say the 5 senses. I really truly believe we have more than 5, but Let's just go with the 5, the basic 5. The second is the pleasure of loving intimacy. The third, the pleasure of purposeful action. Living your purpose. Living your purpose, that it fills us with pleasure. I am living my purpose in this very moment. I'm a minister of God's work, and it brings me the happiest joy. The pleasure of creativity. Did we just not hear from that with the One Love Band? The pleasure of immersion in spirit is the last one. Meditation, prayer, spiritual practice, chanting, immersion in spirit. Isn't that yummy?
Yeah.
And so talking about a complete life includes someone who's actively working their higher purpose and experiencing the 5 levels of pleasure. And now intimacy, we go back to Ernest Holmes again. He says, whether your funds be great or small, you need to get all possible pleasure and satisfaction out of them. This cannot be the case if you're fearful about spending. If you count too carefully, if you limit yourself unduly, because you do not know how you may be situated later on, you are restricting your good. If you are to be rich in concrete ways, you must first be rich in consciousness and have the feeling of abundance. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about intimacy. What is in the way of me experiencing my bliss? Do you ever get afraid about money? Anybody raise your hand? If you're, oh dear God. That would be all of us. And money is the outpicturing of worth and value. So this is a great spiritual practice, is to say, nope, not having it. My source is spirit. Spirit, and we can go back to the infinite it, that it is infinite supply. And if we just keep our mind on spirit. I think there's a song about that. I wake up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. I mean, that is one of my favorite songs. And it's catchy, so don't sing it. It's like Small World at Disney. Don't sing it, don't hum it if you don't want to sing it the rest of the day. So you ask yourself, where do I deny self-care and self-kindness? By denying pleasure. Worry. Anybody worry? Worry is a good time. Worry is just something else, isn't it? Worry is a good time. To live your life the fullest, self-care must be embraced by a daily practice. Would anybody want to share or feel brave enough to share any self-care that you have pleasured yourself with this month? Anybody do anything towards self-kindness? There's Corey in the back.
I'm going to do my coffee. French press.
My French
It
press.
makes me feel so happy.
Yes.
It's a great way to start my day.
And doesn't it tantalize all the senses? I mean, you smell it, you taste it, you hold it, it keeps you warm. There's so many, and you hear the coffee going. I mean, I think it's pretty much
full sensory.
I love my coffee. Anyone else? Oh, good. There's one. Oh, this is wonderful.
On the way home from my sisters in Carson City, I believe I've won $600 million. And I build my foundation and who's going to run it and who receives the benefit. So that was great fun.
That is the one. So you do creative visualization, and that is so pleasurable. That's funny because when I get my lotto ticket, I do the same thing. How would I share this? And that's something that in my research this week, they were talking about money, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, but money, have more than enough is okay, so that you can share it, have more than enough. And so a lot of times I'm like, I'm good, as I say, I'm good, I got what I need. But my source is unlimited. And should I have more than enough, there is more than enough places to share it. So I think Connie was going to share.
I allowed myself to do less lately. I have a tendency to load myself up with projects and things I have to do this and that. And I've actually just been enjoying doing less, going into the pool and reading, sitting on my beautiful patio and reading, just less.
Doing less. And wasn't that one of the ideas this month? You can say no.
Yeah.
That's self-care. That's self-kindness. Anyone else? Oh, good.
I like to go on a daily walk, just being surrounded by the beautiful skies, and the weather's been so amazing. And then also I'm a little crazy, I realize, but having 7 animals in the house is a bit crazy. And if I had to do it again, but most of them are rescues, but when I take my boy pug outside and he does the zoomies in the backyard, I laugh hysterically. And I don't ever laugh like that anymore, except he makes me laugh that. Hysterical girl. This is the cutest
That's beautiful.
thing you've ever seen.
Animals, absolutely, absolutely. They teach us unconditional everything, unconditional love.
And I'm a ditto to Connie, letting myself just do less and read. And lately, I did start painting again. So
Good.
I have 2 or 3 certain pieces of music, artists that I like, and depending on how I feel, I will choose one of them and then the rest of them as we go along. But that's how I find solace and comfort.
Well, that's wonderful. I am a believer in water is life. Water is life for me. And so we have boats, as you know, and when I am sitting there rocking on the boat and I have my legs over the side and I'm so comfortable I could easily just fall asleep. It's a meditation. I'm in my bliss. And it does something to me. It changes everything. Instead, I guess I should say it this way, it changes my focus, which changes everything. So I'm literally collapsing into form and experience of pleasure. Water is my happy place. So anyone else that we haven't, that has any unique idea? As I have these 3 key points, Ernest Holmes had something to say about them. And so I'm starting out with Ernest, who says, believing that there is an infinite law of the spirit, a law of life, which tends to multiply our gifts, because so doing it multiplies its own experience, its own pleasure, its own fruition. We may assume that spiritual human is already a success, is already supplied with everything we need. The potential of all things exists in the universal wholeness. So if we have a purpose, we're going to have everything we need to accomplish that purpose. If we have a vision, we don't have to know how that vision comes into form, as long as we have a conviction of that vision and a passion of that vision and feelings toward that vision, and it is good for all. That vision has to happen. And so it's really a wonderful idea. And I could do a little infomercial right now and which might save you from another announcement that we're going to have later, is that I'm actually going to teach visioning a way of life, and I'm starting it on the 29th on Thursday evenings, and then the following week I'll start it over again for those who would rather have it in the morning, 10 to 12 on Wednesdays. So there'll be Wednesday mornings, Thursday evenings for 6 weeks. And you don't have to do both classes, you just the one, and pick one or the other. But this is a certificated class, and it is, I think, apropos for us right now, because aren't we in the middle of something brand new that we could use the spiritual practice of visioning to see what Spirit's idea of itself is, to open to the bigger idea? Yes, indeed. One thing we all know this, but it came to the forefront of my mind. Traditional religions have a long history of martyrdom and masochism built in them. Everything from self-flagellation to poverty vows, to sleeping on beds of nails, to hours of sitting in meditation in the lotus position, to celibacy that have been promoted ways to get closer to God. I was imagining myself as God, and people sleeping on a bed of nails and flagellating, and God going, WTF? Where's the faith? And how about Buddhism, which I love Buddhism, that desire, the craving for pleasure in material things, lies at the root of all suffering. Culturally, we have to think about this. We've had it from all directions. This has been culturally a global culture. We know these things. Did you not? You've heard of every one of these things. And, that is not God's pleasure. Let me say it this way. We honor all paths to God. That is not my pleasure. And that, I don't believe, is the pleasure of this teaching. It is nowhere in our text or any of the many, many, many books that Ernest Holmes has written did he ever say suffer. Suffering is good. He would have said, if you're suffering, the quantum physics, the science of mind, will give you more suffering. You go, girl. So this is interesting. My comfort zone is what I've normalized. Yeah. My comfort zone is what I've normalized. Do you know that there is pleasure beyond your comfort zone? Let me just leave you with that. It is not pleasure that opposes good. It is not pleasure that opposes your good. What opposes the good is our addiction to comfort. We get comfortable. We get comfortable. We get complacent. But do you know that pleasure is often experiencing something new and wild and wonderful? It's the body's natural tendency to treat pleasure as a signal that you're on the right track. That's so. As we almost end here, I did find the word kama, K-A-M-A. Have you heard of it? Mm-mm. It is Sanskrit. It is pleasure in Hinduism. It is the concept of pleasure and broadly refers to any desire, wish, passion, pleasure, or enjoyment of art and beauty, the aesthetic enjoyment of life. Kama. What?
Chameleon, yep.
I wonder. It is one of the 4 Purushas. sorry, which are the 4 objectives of human life. It is considered an essential and healthy goal of human life. In Hinduism, Hinduism is pretty positive. There's a lot of really nice positive things in Hinduism that I just love. And so I'm going to end here with one more quote from Ernest, because the idea is that we are powerful only as we unite with power. We are weak and we desert this power. Not because God is jealous, but because this is the way things work. The idea of false renunciation, of giving up all pleasure and benefits in this life, is not even suggested in the teachings of Jesus. Self-effacement, the neglect of the body, the belief that we must be unhappy and poor in order to serve the truth, all of these, Ernest Holmes says, are immature ideas which deny the divine birthright of the soul, the incarnated spirit of the Most High within us. So from this point of view, from brain science, you're wired for pleasure. So let's consider releasing any idea or influence, cultural, whatever it is, that we have to limit in any way our experience of pleasure. And anything you practice, diet, healthy relationships, work, whatever it is, will eventually fall away unless you can take pleasure in it. So take pleasure in what you are doing, what is absolutely in front of you. And the deepest pleasure comes from the greatest depth. So what does that mean? That means when you're getting your pleasure from your source, from your almighty source of who you are, that is in you, connecting all of us to each other, we are doing our good. And how do we handle pleasure? If it's difficult, it's just like handling pain. We breathe. We breathe into it. I have literally had so much pleasure, so much joy in this last week buying this houseboat that I've had to breathe. Kind of like I'm in labor. Like, come on, I'm going to breathe into my infinite source, and I'm going to breathe out everything that Sharon thinks she doesn't deserve. Breathe in my intimate source, breathe out whatever it is I think I don't deserve. Enough of that. Are you with me?
Yes.
Let us pray. I am so grateful to know that there's one power, one presence, one source. We call it by many names: love and abundance and joy and harmony and wholeness. All that is good. It can't be other than good because it's infinite. Because it's eternal. It can't be annihilated. It cannot be opposed. It's just logic that this infinite source, yes, it's the infinite it. And I call it Baba. I call it yummy. I call it good, my good. And I call it my life. And that life that creates all of us and connects all of us to each other is our very pleasure. And it is well pleased in us. And no, we don't have to sleep on nails. And we don't have to self-flagellate. But we do have to recognize it. We do have to engage and evoke this presence. Remember, recognize that still small voice does require sometimes for us to be still. And the practice of our spiritual pleasure is to practice in everything we do. We are joy-filled. Can you imagine this earth and this government and this world, that everything going on right now is filled with this prayer, is filled with this pleasure, this joy? Do you know that it's changing the world right now? And so I give thanks for this prayer answered. From that place of gratitude and pleasure. I release my word into the law that makes it so. I don't have to know how. God does God's work. I just know it is so. And together we say, and so it is. Ashe. Shalom.
Thank you, Reverend Sharon. That was wonderful.
My pleasure.
Before we came up here, Laura reminded me I had my sunglasses on. I thought, oh no, I better change them out. And I thought, no, wait a minute. These songs are about being at the beach, at a cafe, listening to the ocean, and a band play some pretty music. And I used to play in Half Moon Bay all the time. And I wrote all this whole albums from the island style music. And I tweaked the words a little bit to fit today because Reverend Sharon says the message is just as important as the music.
Yes, it is.
And so, and speaking of being at the ocean, we have a water child. A June baby.
June baby.
Yeah. That's cute.
Yes.
So here we go.
Sing to me, so
think it's you. It's you. That song is so great. I really heard that one again.
You're, when I can breathe.
Breathe. And now it's our offering time.
That's all right.
And we are so grateful for all that you give, packing today, and just everything that you do for the center. And thank you for YouTube audience for your donations. We appreciate all donations. And giving financially is a sacred service. And when we give, we activate and increase our own flow of good, which I have personally experienced. So this spiritual practice gets easier as you notice. You will notice the increase in your abundant life. And given to the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living supports our vision, mission, and purpose. So go to our website and find there's a P.O. Box mailing address right there. And you can mail a check or you could donate through PayPal or credit card, of course. And we appreciate your tax-deductible support for sure. And now we'll say our affirmation, our abundant affirmation together. Abiding by the law of circulation and in heartfelt gratitude, I affirm that I live in a creative and abundant universe that continuously flows in, through, and out as me, expressing as the ever-expanding infinite good. And so it is. Thank you. And now for our latest news. Drum roll.
Drum roll. You stay right there. You stay right there. Let me see what we got going here. Yeah, I knew it. I am teaching a class, and so the main thing I just want to point out is that it is on Zoom, and that it is $45 for registration and then $25 a week for the 6 weeks, and that you can register online. This is an amazing spiritual practice that you will absolutely love. And there are scholarships, so don't let the money be an issue.
And is the slide going to be on the website so they can
The
read all?
slides, not only is the slide on the website, but Jaime has already made the registration on the website accessible to you, so you can register right now if you'd like. I'm also advertising it around all of CSL, so I'm hoping to get, to meet some new people as we study together.
On the last slide, our Zoom number is incorrect.
I know, I fixed that.
Okay, sorry.
I forgot to change the slide. My bad. When I looked at it, I went, oh my goodness, I just put that out to the entire world. And I had to beg forgiveness. But yes, I reversed those numbers. Sorry. And I also put a new newsletter out. So make sure that, and I sent it out to all of you. It's on our Facebook page, it's on our Instagram, and it's on our website. And it just has a new date. July 23rd is our soft opening. It turns out that Patricia and Doug are not going to be here for the 16th. And so we were planning this big hoopla. And when she told me she wasn't going to be here, I thought, well, we can't do that then. We've got to postpone. So, yeah, so that's what we're going to do. And again, we're having really good town hall meetings. As Reverend Patricia inspired me, you come to the town hall meetings, you can ask anything, talk about any subject. And what we're going to do next time is we're going to put the building info first, so that the builder and the realtor can leave after their presentations and not that they wouldn't want to hear all of your concerns or suggestions, but we'll give them an opportunity to give us the updates on the building, and then you can stay on and we can talk about any kindred connection item. And this is coming up very soon. This is our outreach ministry. So we've been talking about this every week. Go on the website, check it out. We're going to be at Rush Community Park, which we have fun doing that. That is pleasurable.
And rumor has it that Linda Connolly will be back for this.
What?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
It's just rumor at this point. I haven't got a date yet, but
Oh my goodness. All right then. Well, and I think that is it. We have a beautiful website. Check it out. We're really doing a good job keeping it up. And I will let Margie take over with our prayer requests. Thank you.
Yes, we love to pray, and because we believe in it, and we have faith in it, and because it works. So please, if you have prayer, please send your prayers in, and we are honored to be praying for you. So we have the YouTube. We're on live. Just hit that button there or to the left, and then YouTube channel. You can catch us when when you're home. So thank you. And now, embracing self-care and calmness. This is an affirmation. Okay, we're going to have you take this home for the week and just read it every day. So please close your eyes. Oh no, don't close your eyes. Calmness accompanies me every single moment of my life. And so it does, and so it is. Benediction. Taking a breath and going within that sacred place that's safe. And we are so grateful today for this service of beautiful message and music, and grateful that 90% of everything is packed. And we get great thanks for those who did that. And so we bless our week. We move forward and onward, and we will see you on YouTube Live next Sunday. And we bless the service, this building, and all of us as we move forward. Yes!
Yes.
And so it is.
And I did see the slide up there for Happy Pride Month, and I just wanted to emphasize that. Happy Pride Month!
yes.
And thank you, Sue, and Laura, and dreaming. We're dreaming.
I wrote this song about, we all have things that we wish we could just go and do. And what if you did? So this song is about somebody who heard her song. Of course, it had something to do with hearing the song, and got up and played and did what she always wanted to do. And this is called Dreaming. Woke up this morning with the song playing in my ear. Had lots to melody with a band to play. Now got me going on the next flight out of here. Now I'm on my way, and I have to say, am I dreaming? Am I really here? Am I dreaming? Am I you and me in Waikiki? Little victory on Janeiro. I want the sands of Waikiki. I'm gonna buy my clothes and girls. My blue skies are calling me. Woke up the next morning, the ocean